a secret that billions of people in the world don't know. If billions of chickens are born in the world every year, then where do they all go? If we eat chicken meat every day, why is chicken meat not seen on our plate? Does its meat spoil? Is it poisonous? Or is there a secret behind it that ordinary people never even think about? Surprisingly, the answer to this question is not just related to one farm or one country, but to thousands of years of history, forest, ancient civilization, science, and the modern poultry industry. And when you reach the end, you may never look at chicken meat the same way again. Thousands of years ago, there were no poultry farm, no incubator, no modern farming in the world. At that time, a wild bird called the red junglefowl roamed the forest. This bird is considered to be the oldest ancestor of the modern chicken and rooster. This bird was found in the dense forests of South Asia, especially in the areas that are now India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Thailand, and the surrounding region. At that time, man was a hunter. He hunted these birds along with animals in the forest. But then man saw something strange. He felt that these birds began to live closer to man than other wild birds. It was gradually possible to domesticate them. This was the moment that changed human history. After some time, people started collecting their eggs. Then they started keeping them near their home. Gradually, this wild bird changed and became today's chicken and rooster. But here a question arises. If both chicken and rooster come from the same species, then why is only chicken so popular in the world today? Why not rooster? To find the answer to this question, we have to go back a few thousand years. In ancient China, Egypt, Greece, and Rome, roosters were not raised only for meat. In many places, roosters were considered a symbol of strength, bravery, and wakefulness. Their crowing before the morning call to prayer, or sunrise, served as a natural clock for people. In some areas, cockfights were also held, while in others, they were considered a religious symbol. That is, during this time, roosters were not just food. Then times changed. The human population began to grow. The demand for food in cities also increased. Now people needed an animal that ate less food, grew faster, gave more meat, and also laid more eggs. This is where the story of modern poultry begins. Scientists saw that each hen can lay hundreds of eggs a year, but roosters? They do not lay eggs. They only play a limited role in reproduction. This is where the world began to consider chickens as more economically valuable. But then another surprising question arose. If a chicken doesn't lay eggs, should it be raised only for meat? The answer seems to be yes, but the truth is not so simple. Because when scientists compared the growth, diet, weight gain, and meat of chickens, they found a surprising difference. This difference was such that it changed the course of the entire world's poultry industry. And this is the secret that today you see very little chicken meat in the market. But the real secret still remains. We learned that modern chickens and roosters evolved from the same wild bird, the red junglefowl. And over time, humans began to raise chickens for their eggs and meat. But one question still remains. If every chicken produces about the same number of chicks, where do they all end up? This question seems so simple, but the answer is one of the most puzzling mysteries of modern agriculture. Just imagine, in a huge hatchery, not thousands, but millions of eggs are kept in machines. The temperature and humidity are controlled down to the last second. On the 21st day, the eggs suddenly begin to move. The tiny beak makes the first blow on the shell, then the second, and a few minutes later, a tiny chick comes into the world. Within a few hours, thousands of chicks are moving forward in rows. But then comes a stage that ordinary people probably never even think about. Experts quickly determine the sex of each chick, which is female and which is male. This work is done so quickly that an expert can identify hundreds, if not thousands, of chicks in an hour. Now the story takes a surprising turn. You might be thinking that now male chicks will also be raised so that their meat can be sold later. But the reality is often different. There is only one reason: economic. There is a difference between breeds specific to chickens and meat. Today, most poultry in the world is bred for two different purposes. One breed is for laying eggs, and the other for meat. Male chicks of egg-laying breeds cannot lay as many eggs, nor do they gain weight as quickly as breeds developed for meat. If a farm feeds them for months, the money spent on it often exceeds the meat they produce. This is where business decisions take precedence over emotions. Many people are surprised to hear this because they think that chicken meat is probably bad, poisonous, or unusable. Not at all. Chicken meat can be eaten, but the meat of an adult chicken is usually tougher because it is more active and its muscles are stronger. That is why it is not liked everywhere like broiler chicken that are ready to be cooked quickly. But now another interesting question arises. If chicken meat can be eaten, does anyone in the world eat it with enthusiasm? The answer is yes. This question chicken is still being debated around the world. Now, consider another interesting fact. In some countries of the world, traditional dishes are still made from the meat of adult chickens. In the French countryside, there have been dishes made with adult chickens since ancient times. In many parts of Asia, people also like local chicken, especially those that are cooked slowly for several hours to soften the tough meat. That is, the problem is not that chicken meat cannot be eaten. The real difference is that the modern supermarket world demands speed, while traditional food demands time. And this difference determines our plate. In some villages in Latin America, people still raise and use local chickens and roosters. That is, it would be wrong to say that no one in the world eats chicken. The real difference is between industrial production and traditional food. And this difference changes our daily lives. Now, let's look at another scenario. You enter the supermarket. There are dozens of packages in the refrigerator. All have the same word written on them, chicken. But how many of them are roosters and how many are hens? Most people never consider this question. They just pick up the packet and move on. Maybe that's why the secret has remained a secret for so long. But the most surprising fact remains. Scientists are now working on a technology that can tell right inside the egg whether the chick is male or female. If this method is successful on a large scale, the poultry industry could change forever. But will this really solve the problem? Or will it raise new ethical, economic, and scientific questions? And the biggest question, if the world decides tomorrow that we will now eat chicken meat as a normal thing, will our diet, prices, and the entire poultry farming system really change? This is the exciting part, where our video enters the most surprising part. We will learn that a system that seems so trivial to us is actually connected to the food, economy, and daily lives of billions of people around the world. And maybe in the end, you will say to yourself, the real reason was not taste, but the whole story was something else. Majin, tomorrow morning, the world's largest food company makes an announcement. Starting today, we will only sell chicken meat. Within hours, social media is in an uproar. Someone says, why have we been fed chicken for so many years? Someone writes, is chicken meat more powerful? And some people just ask one question. If it's so good, why wasn't it available before? But in reality, if this happens, the entire poultry system in the world will be shaken in a few months. Why? Because the problem with chicken is not just meat, it's balance. Nature never created a system where there are only roosters or only hens. The two are connected. One lays an egg, the other carries on the generation. And this natural balance has been in place for thousands of years. But when man created industry, he preferred efficiency over nature. Here comes another surprising thing. There were several ancient breeds in the world in which chickens grew relatively slowly, but their meat was famous for its taste. Over time, those breeds became fewer because high-speed production replaced them. So we didn't just change meat, we also gradually lost an entire history of flavors. Now imagine 50 years ahead. Maybe you go to the supermarket and there is a machine there. You press on the screen, traditional chicken taste, or meat like local chicken, and a few moments later, the meat produced in the laboratory is in front of you. This may sound like science fiction today, but research in this direction is ongoing in the world. At this point, another question will arise. If meat is produced without raising animals, will chickens and roosters be limited to villages and forests? Or will people return to traditional farms? No one has the answer yet, but one thing is certain. Whenever a person chooses food, he does not just buy taste. The farmer's hard work, the system of nature, the development of science, and his own culture. That is why the same bird is viewed differently in different countries of the world. Somewhere it is just part of breakfast, somewhere a festive meal, somewhere a symbol of good luck, and somewhere the first sound of the morning. Now just look at your life. You've probably eaten a chicken burger hundreds of times, you've seen a chicken fry or a roast chicken thousands of times, but have you ever asked the butcher, is this a chicken or a hen? Most people never ask, because we were only looking at the food, and that's probably the most important lesson of this entire video. Sometimes the world's greatest secrets aren't hidden in some remote cave, some lost treasure, or some space planet. They're hidden in our everyday food. A simple question, why don't we eat chicken? It takes us back thousands of years of history, to wild birds, to human civilization, to modern science, to global trade, and to the food of the future. And that's the beauty of knowledge. One question and a whole world behind it. The next time you have chicken on your plate, don't just eat it, take a moment to remember its whole story. Because behind every bite there is a history, and behind every history a question that will someday change the world.